Hi, I'm Aaron. I'd like to talk about an extreme polarization issue. More importantly, the polarization between pro-immigration reform and non-immigration reform groups. To start, the key in the debate over immigration comes from differing understandings of the Catholic Church's definition of flawed and free. According to the Catholic Church, the meaning of flawed is conflicted and disordered due to the effects of sin in human life. The definition of free is to be able to make choices, particularly to choose between good and evil. As I started to read into the articles, I found that many articles that were pro and non-pro immigration conveyed that there was different meanings of flawed. For example, non-pro immigration groups stated that illegal immigrants are flawed and are a serious threat to U.S. national security. For example, this is seen through a study conducted from 2011 to 2018. The study shows that on average 25% of drug trafficking occurs from immigrants, as shown in this graph. While the pro-immigration groups explain that when immigrants migrate to the US illegally, they take up jobs that can help fuel the US economy more. For example, immigrants take up jobs decreasing the job deficit as shown in this graph. This side shows that being flawed is somewhat human and can lead to benefits in the future. So overall, the non-pro-immigration groups believe that being flawed can be a threat, while the pro-immigration groups believe that being flawed can lead to many advantages for the US. Going on, I also saw that each group conveys a different meaning of free. The pro-immigration group expressed that one should be free to make their own choices to go and migrate to the US whether it is good or bad. As an example, common stats from an article shows that the green card decline and the increase in refugees in the past 5 years has steeply increased due to immigration reforms led by Donald Trump. To sum up, the pro-immigration group believes that US should free immigration policies because one should make their own choices while not being limited by factors that could limit the possibility to find new possibilities in America. But the non-pro-immigration group expressed that one should be limited to be able to migrate to the US because immigrants are perceived as a threat as seen through terrorist attacks, illegal drug trafficking, and higher competition for jobs. While the non-pro-immigration groups believe that limiting the freedom of immigrants is good. One article shows that immigrant workers employ nearly half of the seven industry categories, while little more than a quarter of the US-born workers are employed in these seven industries, as shown in this table. To conclude, while researching and gathering facts for this project, I have observed very different sides of the argument of immigration and the different meanings of flawed and free. Each group has its own unique way of thinking of the meaning of flawed and free when it relates to US immigration. Going back to my thesis, when people have different understandings of flawed and free, it can make a conversation about immigration a lot more polarized than perhaps if we would side on one group. Thank you for listening to my presentation.